Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we're going to be giving you guys a quick TLDR on what has been transpiring so far in Server 2. What happened with the whole war thing? Why are, TA and their allies versus EMP and their allies, right? And each of the Union sides going at it, right? Why is there the drama that there is? So I wanted to try and do a little bit of investigative journalism. And so I thought, let me reach out to leaders and officers from the top alliances in Server 2 so I can try and get to the bottom of it. Why are we having all these fights? Why are there alliances that are kind of just being, attacked out of nowhere for no reason, that are just collateral damage? And where is this stemming from? Because I was just curious to find out. So today we're going to try to uncover that. I ended up asking a few people. I got some responses back that we're going to show off here in a little bit. I put them on a spreadsheet and we kind of highlighted and bolded them so it's a little clear to kind of see the meat of the pieces. We'll give you a little bit of a kind of starting foundation, lay of the land for how things started. And then how are things going now? And then, what's kind of going to be the next big thing that ends up happening. So with that being said, if you enjoy the content, as always, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell. Of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. So in short, to start, everything really started here in Kaltia. This is where our alliance, EMP, I think O2A, RP, a few others were here. And it was just a culmination of a really big, condensed region with a lot of potential for strong alliances. So I think one alliance left. We were, I think, the second alliance to leave just after noticing how things were going. And then from here, there was a fight that broke out. And then in short, I think it was a few alliances, I think two at least, had left. And they essentially kind of went over here to Zoland. Where's Zoland? Here we go. To Zoland, which is where TA was, I believe this is the region. I need to find their original thing, unless they already moved their they already probably moved it. But TA moved to Zoland, and this is where you see like ATM, they worked on board, TS, and a few others here, and they kind of were just rebuilding at this point. And so and remember, right now in this moment, there's nothing happening, right? There's no big wars on the kingdom. Nothing is really being talked about. I mean, sure, maybe within some of the regions, right, some small fights or skirmishes are happening between alliances, but there's nothing really, as far as a campaign or a big effort at this point, to really push in and invade other regions, right? Even once level 2 passes open and we were able to capture ours, beyond that, there really wasn't anything that was happening, right? It was kind of more of, oh, okay, hey, look, you guys will take a level 2 pass, we'll take a level 2 pass for everyone kind of a thing. So now, and we were over here in Navola, right? So we, I believe, capped one. Yeah, it was this one, I believe. And so we ended up capping one pass, this one, and then each of these got shared, right? And that was it. No one invaded anyone. Then you fast forward, and we start hearing whispers of that EMP, who is here now, right? Originally, they were here in Kaltia, and a few others, and then I believe ended up moving over here to Sophrostia once these level 1 passes opened. And we started hearing whispers that, hey, they're moving over, right? We started noticing they're in Sophrostia. They're kind of teeing up here along with, I believe it was GRZ or another one, where they were kind of teeing up to take these 2 passes, right? One here and then the other alliance for this one, so they could start working their way into Navola. This is what we're hearing, right? Again, no one, let me really set the record straight. No one reached out to me from any of these alliances to communicate, to talk about diplomacy, to, just ask, hey, what's going on, right? Nothing. And, a day or two goes by, passes open, they capture, and then I think probably within 24 hours, our alliance and other alliances are being attacked by EMP players, I think some PKO2 players, and maybe some from a few others. And at this point, right, it's me getting reports of farmers, right? Remember, at this time, we hadn't allied with anyone, right? Even if you read our alliance announcement board, which has been the same since, I think, day 1 or day 2, it is here. right? This is how it's looked at its core, right? We've had I had one small change here where I mentioned something like unions or allies or something like that, but the NAP part was always there. This never changed. This was the first thing that was there before this original part here. This entire message was exactly what it was since day one, day two. It was only a small adjustment that we made temporarily, just to show that, hey, we had some friends out there. We never put enemies or anything like that, right? The nap everyone was always the primary point to take away, because that's what just had always been there. And so what eventually at that point in the alliances that invaded for this region of Nivola, right, we get attacked, and then at that point you had a couple other alliances that were getting attacked, and right, going from here, when you look at things objectively, from my understanding, TA did not try and go out into, right, from where they were here in Zoland and go over here into Forgotten Lands and just start like attacking, anyone and everyone. I don't believe that I saw that happen. Even some of these alliances that I'm seeing here now are still from some of the originals, obviously, with some other ones like this OWO. This is DAW. They just rebranded. They were over in Darlin with us. So it wasn't as though they were coming over and just straight up, attacking and killing everyone here in Forgotten Lands. Unlike when you looked at the opposition alliances, they were going from Kaltia to Sophrostia to then Nivola, and then eventually worked their way to Darlin. And then after they were in Darlin here, they captured these passes into Forgotten Lands, and this is where you kind of start seeing them building more. And then obviously Zone 2 is opened up here in Lorcan, and then you can see that's kind of where OWU is, PKO2, DWD, even EMP had an alliance over here at one point, right, to try and push T. And that's kind of where the main fight is happening now, is here in Agoru, which is the second, or another Zone 2 area, right from these passes here, right? This is kind of the main area now where the fight's happening, at least until Zone 3 opens. So just a little bit of context there to provide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show off some of the responses that I got from players on that I essentially just kind of documented on the spreadsheet. So I'll show you these right now. Right, so we have, and I just kind of bolded and moved them in blue so it's easier to read. So it says TA merge from O2 ARP from all the alliances in Zoland. OTA and RP were in Kaltia and fought against OWO and PKO2. We won, and they decided to move to Zoland. We attacked DW due to insults received saying we want all for us, and trying to convince PKO2 to join them to fight OWO with Junie. Now, I don't know if this means, I think this was from an EMP player, but I just want to point out that, again, I don't know, I can't really take this as kind of like 100%, authentically, because I just don't know if that's something that was said by this alliance's leadership. What I will say, just to comment on that statement in general, is that, going to war for people that are insulting you is, in my opinion, kind of childish. I mean, people get, verbally, attacked, almost sadly, let me point that out, on a daily basis in Kingdom Builders, right? Not to say it's happening to the 99% of every single one that plays, but it's to say that, there's going to be people that just, unfortunately, take a lower road and, choose words of ill intent. And even though it's not right, the thing is that, when you play games as much as, what I feel like is, when you're, you do content, in my experience, and I'm sure others, right, it's kind of good just to have some thick skin. And that's not to say that, you should need to have thick skin, right? Because obviously I just don't believe that it is right that, if you don't know anything about someone and you're kind of going out and, making insinuations or assumptions, I just would never do that. So with that being said, right, insults received, saying that, and them trying to convince PKO2. I mean, this is the thing, right? I've seen messages of kingdoms I've played in where I've seen people show me screenshots of, this alliance trying to go over here and, work with this other alliance or convince this alliance to go against us. And, in the end, you just didn't need to do anything. It was just more about, having a kind of united, strong front and, letting them kind of act first, right, so to speak. And then kind of addressing it, right, as such. And again, I understand there's kind of two ways to go about it here. If you decide that you want to make an effort to, what you may feel to be kind of weeding out a cancer, then instead of just kind of acting as though you are a trebuchet, not a trebuchet, but you're just this, walking plague, so to speak, that just kind of goes from one side of the kingdom to another, and you just kind of decimate everything that's in your path, that's worse than in my opinion, I think the people that you're trying to go against, at least in the server 2 example. Instead, if you're trying to have an easy, like if your main objective is like, as you have one union, right, which is the EMPs, the OWOs, the PK2, the DWDs, GRZs of the world, and they're trying to eradicate TA. Why are you wasting resources and time burning all these other people when they haven't attacked you yet? Why not just work your way and kind of cut off the head of the snake? And then if you end up getting attacked by others at any point in time, then you just kind of address it as need be, right? Because at one point, when you just look at EMP as the alliance, right, given they're the strongest alliance in server 2, right, and they had a decent gap, a very healthy gap between them and the other non-union alliances, family alliances that they have within their group. You're kind of like, you got the biggest stick in the yard. You don't need to go over there and crack tiny little sticks that really, for the most part, aren't really going to do anything against you, right? You can just reach out to these alliances and say, hey, just want to let you know we're just passing through. We're not going to attack anyone. Right, we're just basically going to do like center fort drops in front of gates one by one, and we'll just walk the distance. If you're okay just letting us temporarily have it, or why not just say, hey, do you mind allying with us and adding each other in our unions within the alliance so we can access the pass from you? And then this way, if they did it, think about it, you can form three unions, and you could actually get over to 3 new regions. Right, one union gets you into Nivola. The next union gets you into Darlin, and then the next one gets you into Forgotten Lands. I think at that point, or at least it would get you up to that point where you can drop a fort somewhere nearby and just like run everyone there. Right, there's more efficient and effective ways to go about, addressing a specific alliance and a set group of people in a kingdom than feeling the need to have to flag and use all these resources and all this time and just burn anyone and everyone up to, let me be specific there, right? Where they could do that in their sight. It just so happened that, my alliance, NAST, which, was never hostile to anyone, never showed any indication of doing so, was proactively burned, right? That to me, just doesn't really show how I would view, kind of good problem solving within a leadership that is looking to address something, right? I would have taken the higher route, the higher road, and attempted that first to see what I could get out of it before resorting to. And bear in mind, even if things did not go poorly, right? Things didn't go exactly how you were hoping they would go. I mean, at most, you remove 1 flag or 2 flags, and then you build your fort, attack the pass, and you get through, right? And then you're basically just defending. Where, for the most part, none of the alliances in Nivola for the region I was in, and I would assume within the Darlin region, right, would have been able to really do anything against the EMPO, WO, DWD, PKO2, etc. union, anyways, right? Why need to kind of force the hand onto others, right? I just think there's just a better approach overall. So anyways, then we look to insults received. We have instead T did the opposite. They killed a bunch of small alliances by force convincing them to join TA in order to fight us. I've heard this from a few people. Again, I can't speak because I can't really speak to the authenticity of that, but I have heard it from a few people that have said this, so it kind of trends in that direction that there's a good chance it did happen. If TA didn't do the amount of merges they did, Forgotten Lands, Zolan, Burning Lands could be highly active regions. I could make the same argument against the other union, saying that, right, if they approach things in just a more efficient manner, there would be a lot more active players and alliances in the kingdom as well. Then we get to the next one, which is at the start of the server. There wasn't really much of a plan, but to just see how everything went. And us, Burn OW, concluded that O2A were a Chinese alliance who had a history from ROC of wanting to purge any Western alliance, as well as Junie openly saying from the start he was against Western players and any kind of server unity. I would love to see this. I have spoken to Junie a few times. I think just a couple posts back and forth, but I haven't actually had an opportunity to ask this person that question yet. I think I'm waiting for them to get back to me from a previous question that I asked. Since then, anyone we have fought, such as DAW, etc., is because they sided with TA, which, I mean, for the most part, is not really entirely accurate because we never sided with TA. We never sided with anyone. Again, hence our alliance announcement board that says NAP on it. Right, so again, just to, let me see where I'm looking right now. Right, so just to show this again here, right? If you look at our announcement board, it says NAP everyone, right? Not aggressive, non-aggression pact. This has been our announcement pretty much forever, right? There's been a few adjustments here and there, but none of this has ever changed. This has always been the same, and this is what it was originally before we ended up making any amendments. And those are temporary amendments. Let me be clear. So then we end up getting to, right, let's see here, right, so TA, originally known as O2A, was a Chinese Zerg alliance. I've had plans to attack EMP, all Chinese Zergs. They had plans to remove Western alliances. They then became TA and recruited everyone we opposed, who we opposed. So again, right, kind of consistently hearing this for the second time. We've been at war with OWO ever since the server started, and EMP is purely on the pretext that Junie stole Mouse Archon. I don't know what the Archon thing is. That's all. I don't really understand why they're targeting us. We have never actively attacked anyone. See, that's the thing. From everything I've understood, and this kind of goes into this next one, where it says INA-1 ignored our diplo messages and took a level 1 pass off us, which kicked off a war when they were allies with you and DAW, you being NAST. So again, they were never allies with us, right? We never said anything to the extent of we were going to go out and fight against those alliances, or we were going to contribute, or that we made an announcement saying, yeah, we're allies and we're going to support them in any and every endeavor. There was never anything like that ever said or ever sent out by me. Right, and this was all, of course, prior, right, to us getting attacked. Even after we were attacked, before we ended up looking to try and move to another region, which ended up working into Darlin, and after we were proactively hit, right, there still wasn't anything until we started working our way over into Darlin, where the primary focus was to rebuild. Right, secondary focus being to help out if and when we could, right, against the alliances that attacked us, right, without reaching out or any fair warning. And then we get to, we'd also like this process, we'd also like to know why OWO was always chasing us to kill as the enemy, I don't know. So, right, even though I'm going off of a few things, I haven't seen any, so let me be very clear, I haven't seen any screenshots from any side that has said, hey, you know, here's the screenshot of them attacking us, or here's the reports of them attacking us, our players at this time when they did, right? All I've heard is that, and I've heard this consistently, is that a pass was taken, a level 1 pass was taken, and that's what kicked off. Now, I don't know if there was troops in the pass. I don't know if it was just a neutral pass that they took, or what. But what I know is there was a pass that was taken. That's what kicked off the war, and then it's them saying, some of these people saying that, you know, some of these people want to fight, that TA and Junie and I think Jing, I'm sure I'm probably butchering that name, wanted to rebuild, right, to fight against EMP. And that's pretty much the context, right? And then we get to the last big one, which is, right, started with O2A, they're primarily Chinese, I think, around Kaltia. Some fight started with EMP. They lost, and then Kaltia accused OWO on backstabbing. I have heard that from at least 2 people. Not to say that's anything that I would argue is, you know, a authenticated fact or trend. Like I said, I haven't seen any screenshots. At this point, TA is a merger alliance comprised of O2A as main and RP, E20, LOF, etc. TD and TS are also are their sub-alliances. TRTC decided to submit under DAW, changing to DAWU, whilst War chose to merge with SGI and made GRDI. And TA is making plans to make a big alliance for survival, inviting alliances in Forgotten, Darlin, and Zolan. Meanwhile, ATM is still neutral at this point. At this point, unions are being made between TA, GRDI, DA, while DAW is in a union with some alliances in Darlin, including NAST. Right, remember, and bear in mind, a union does not mean that you are going to go hard, die, and fight for people, right? If you believe that, that is an assumption. Unions are used for their feature benefits, right? Everything beyond that is really, a plus if you consider it that. So for me, I'm looking to form a union so I can get access, and the people I'm forming the union with can get access to a gate, right, to get there back and forth. Or if for whatever reason we end up deciding to go and fight with each other for something, right, then you get to avoid the friendly fire. But it doesn't immediately mean that because you're forming a union with someone that you are, in my opinion, you're blindly supporting them, especially when at least in my case, right, in our case with the Alliance, has an NAP for everyone, right? It's pretty clear. It's not like you can really miss that. Right, so then we have EMP and their allies, OWO, PKO2, DWD, GRZ, etc., fearing for the big alliances formed properly, decided to hit before it does. Right, and this is where you end up seeing directly marching from Yatia through Sophrostia, hitting NASTi and building a fort in front of Forgotten, right? So GRDI is still on Union preparation. They could not help DAW at the time. And then we kind of get towards the end here, which is with too much marching and seeing as no safe spot. This is kind of once this was when I was showing off the videos for the Union going to attack TA and TS and ATM. With too much marching and seeing as no safe spot to gather for EMP, they decided to move forts somewhere else close to a pass so they can gather while having closer marches. Having PKO2, EMP, and OW now fully active 26 hours in, Junie could not help anymore with his low stamina, and in the end, TA lost even after rushing T4, cities burning, and TA4 destroyed. So, and I want to point something out here on the war aspect, right? Because I think I had said this in the PvP videos. The takeaway I have here is that in those videos, TA actually, in my opinion, had an opportunity to win, right? I actually thought they had multiple chances to really win the fight here in, oh gosh, where are they? Where's Agora, right? So I really think they had big opportunities to win the fight here in Forgotten Lands, where they could have pushed out, destroyed DWD Fortress, PKO2. I think they probably even could have got here to OWO, and a good chance of them securing Forgotten Lands along with these two Zone 2 passes, and maybe even pushed in. I really think they had good chances that were just missed opportunities, right? I think some of the tactical and strategic choices, or maybe lack thereof, from TA, TS, and potentially ATM as well. But they did have opportunities, right? That's the most important part, is that it wasn't as though they just got overpowered. They were overpowering their group at certain times. And that's where they needed to take advantage from just being more organized and more structured. And for those of you that are interested, you can go and watch those PvP videos or some of my most recent ones, where there's moments in the videos where I talk about certain choices that were made, and certain just positioning opportunities that could have been really more so taken advantage of, but just weren't. And again, that's the thing in war, right? You have to try and learn from your mistakes and try to adapt and evolve in real time. Try to come in as organized as you can, as prepared as you can. And I think for those reasons, I think in my opinion, based on what I had seen, it was a lot more about the opportunities being missed than it was about them being overpowered, right, by the other group. Sure, the other group, you could make the argument, had more active players overall. But I can make the argument that TA, pound for pound, right? If it was a straight one-on-one with, if it was a straight one-on-one with EMP or a straight one-on-one with OWO, right, I would give the advantage to TA based on that, right? Just based on what I saw. So, with that in mind, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would just love to see the fight. But from what I saw, that's where my opinion, right, where my best guess is going towards. So, again, right, great to see, but I do think kind of a dropped ball for the most part. So, the summary I come to, right, when we look at all the information, all the context, is that, right, we best guess, right, and this is best guess hypothesis, a pass was attacked, maybe EMP owned it, maybe they didn't, but clearly the pass was either going to be going to them or allocated to someone else within their allies. Pass is taken, that starts off the war, on top of who knows how responsive the pre-TA group was in Calti at the time to diplomacy messages. Then the fight starts. They move. Then, as they're rebuilding, EMP and OWO, DWD, PKO2, etc., right, they get word that they're rebuilding because they want to fight again, so they're reaching out to people and gathering allies. And then at this point, they make the decision, that one group makes the decision, we're going to go ahead and work our way all the way around the map, and anyone and everyone could become targets for us to attack, and we don't need to reach out to them, for the most part, in advance. Right, we'll just kind of clear the path if and when needed, right, with however they deem that to be. And that's where you have the casualties, like my alliance, my players, other alliances and their players, right? Who knows if they were reached out to as well. And as they're moving through all the way over, right, just kind of doing it, like I mentioned before, and in my opinion, kind of just doing it the hard way. And they eventually work their way over to then start fighting the alliances that they have been, right? And that's kind of how things have been playing out right now. So at the moment, right, there's a good chance that the next big fight really is going to be in Zone 3, and that's basically where we're at. So if you're looking at where we're at currently, that's it. It's TA and TS are going to work their way into Zone 3 once it opens, which, as of recording this video, August Zone, I think, has already been completed. So we have, what are we on? No, here it is, right? So it's, I think it's Lightbearer, right? Yeah. So it's this one, right? So we got to wait. Salvation has a day and 5 hours left, and then Lightbearer. This will probably complete, I don't know, this could be on a timer if it's a individual one, which it could be. And then you're going to end up having 12 hours after this chapter is complete. Alliances can attack the passes. So, I mean, maybe you're looking at about 2 days, maybe 2 to 4 days, just depending, until that wraps up. So that's when we'll probably have the next real big fight in Zone 3, as long as nothing changes. And actually, if anything, I for one am hoping that that's what's going to happen, right? That maybe they just say, okay, hey, we'll just let them build up and, fight it out once the pass opens. That would be cool. Obviously it's going to depend, we'll see how everything plays out. But if anything, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me, a little bit longer, but I think sometimes when you're telling a story and you're giving context to a situation that's happening, it's really important to try and have a good understanding of what those expectations are, what actually started it. And, as you saw, we showed some responses here, and I'm sure some of you have probably read more than even just the areas that I kind of bolded and color-coded, and of course, please do in that regard. And usually when I do these kind of historical videos, right, if I kind of give you guys some of the, the magazine story, right, the book, the chapters, if you will, I like just to try and be as thorough as I can based on the information that's available to us, right, to read. So, and again, it's interesting, again, remember, this is just one season. We'll have to see how Season 2 plays out in Server 2 or Kingdom 2, and then, go from there at that point. But it definitely has been a wild ride with a lot of PvP action. To me, I think that's always been the most enjoyable part, right, is seeing the actual PvP action. And the one thing I will always believe is that you don't have to forcibly, take over everything in a kingdom in order to have fun, right? No one enjoys the grind as you're working your way to go and fight someone. You enjoy the actual fight when it happens. Right, getting there and kind of burning anyone, whoever it may be, in your walking wake, is not really fun, so to speak. The enjoyment really is in having these ginormous PvP battles, right? The almost 24-hour fight between 6, 7, 8 alliances was awesome with us being able to record that, and that's the type of stuff that I think is really going to be a big selling point for Call of Dragons, because their PvP is just extremely and incredibly fun to watch. And I hope it has been, especially my last video that I did where there really wasn't a lot of lag after I finally fixed my emulator settings to get those a little bit better. So With that in mind, that's it for me. I would love to know your guys' comments. If you're in server 2 and you have any more context, please let me know in the comments below. If you're from another kingdom, I would love to hear just what your thoughts are on the situation. Are you seeing anything similar to what's happening here in server 2 in your server? Do you have any additional context or information on, what's been happening here, maybe from just other people that you've heard from? I would love to know. So as always, let me know, guys. That is it for me. Until next time, as always, I'll catch you later.